Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a favorite of mine. We're going to be talking about new June cozy mysteries for the month of June 2022. So let's go ahead and hop into it. I have 10 different new cozy mystery releases to be sharing with you, and we're just going to hop into the first one, which is a brand new series by Lynn Cahoon. So the new series is called A Survivor's Book Club Mystery, and this one in particular is called the Tuesday Night Survivors Club. So this book sounds very interesting to me. Our main character's name is Rarity, and she has recently survived breast cancer, and what has gotten her through this has been her friends and books. After surviving cancer, she wants a fresh start for herself, so she moves out to Sedona, Arizona, where new age spirituality and there's a lot of openness to different ideas and practices and things like that. So she opens a bookshop that is dedicated to different types of medical practices, so Eastern medicine, Western medicine, the power of food, all these different concepts and things she sells in her bookshop. And she also starts a Tuesday Night Survivors Club, which is a book club where different survivors of cancer meet. However, shortly after opening, one of the members, Martha, actually goes missing. Her car is discovered abandoned on the side of the road, and her dog has been mysteriously left with a friend, but Martha is nowhere to be found. So Rarity knows something is up, and so she goes on the quest to kind of figure out what has happened to her new friend and this fellow survivor. So this is a new one by Lynn Cahoon, who has a lot of different fun mystery series out there. So this one sounds interesting to me. Let me know if you have already put this one on your to-read list. I do have everything linked down below in the description for you. If you want to check out any of these books, they will be linked down below for you. And this particular book will be coming out on the 14th of June. So this next one was actually on my 2022 most anticipated releases. It's called Bayou Book Thief by Ellen Byron. It's going to be released on June 7th, and this is part of the new series, A Vintage Cookbook Mystery. So this is book 1. Book 2 is already announced on Amazon as well. So this book really stood out to me. I don't think I've read anything by Ellen Byron, but this book really stood out to me because the characters and the plot lines were really interesting. So our main character's name is Ricky James, and she is a 28-year-old who has been recently widowed by her husband, who it didn't sound like she got along too well with. He's a big stunt actor, and he perished during a stunt, doing something dumb, I guess. And so she's recently moved from Los Angeles, picked up her life, and moved to New Orleans. And out there, she has started to work for a culinary museum, which I don't know about you, but I've never been to a culinary museum, but that is now on my bucket list because how fun would that be? That sounds amazing. And she starts working there, and she's really enjoying the quirky cast of different people and coworkers that she has there. She's enjoying the camaraderie. And as she's working there, she decides to open a gift shop at the museum, and she's going to start selling vintage cookbooks, which is a personal hobby of hers, which sounds, again, really interesting, really up my alley. She is stocking the gift shop when she discovers a box of cookbooks in the back, and there is a body nearby, and it turns out that that body was a recently fired employee of the museum, which of course looks very bad for the museum, is going to put a huge kink in the plans to open the gift shop, and this employee also has a very bad reputation, which is why they were fired. So there's a lot of different possible motives for who might have wanted this person out of the way. And it sounds like Ricky's past also comes into play with this. She had some kind of experience where she was working with a billionaire in their books, and I guess that comes back into play during this book, which I'm curious to learn more about. So this one's definitely on my TBR. I'm really excited about it. Let me know if you've read anything by Ellen Byron, and yeah, I'm excited for this one. So this next one is another one I'm very excited to read, although it'll be quite a bit down the line because I'm only halfway through the series, and this is the latest one. So it's called Do Not Disturb, a Bakeshop Mystery by Ellie Alexander. If you've been following my channel, I started reading this series in December. I'm on book 7 or 8 right now, and it's amazing. This is going to be book 15 in the series. Is this cover not gorgeous? I love the covers for this whole series, but I love the teal on this. It's beautiful. So essentially our main character's name is Jules, and she lives in Ashland, Oregon, and she runs a bake shop with her mother named the bake shop is called Tort, and they've also started a catering side business as well, an extension of Tort. Yeah, so her friends Thomas and Carrie are getting married. However, Carrie's father shows up unannounced, uninvited, and unwanted to the wedding, so there's already some concerns that he's going to try to ruin the wedding. However, he's detained when Jules or someone in the wedding comes across the bassist who has been killed. So of course this throws a wrench in everything, and Jules is up to her sleeves in another new mystery, trying to figure it out and save her friend's wedding day. So this one sounds really interesting to me. I personally would recommend reading the Bakeshop mysteries in order if you choose to read this series. I think the characters really develop over time from what I've seen with just the first like 7 or so books I've read, and I've really enjoyed it. I think the setting is just darling. I absolutely recommend this series. So if you are reading this series, this is going to be the newest one that's releasing. If you haven't read it, you definitely should check it out, and I would recommend starting from the beginning, but you can jump in at any point if this one particularly interests you. And I don't think I mentioned, but this book will be coming out on June 28th. Okay, so our next one is going to be Claws of Death by Lorna Barrett. It's a Booktown mystery book series, and this is book 16 in the series. This book will be coming out on June 7th, and our main character is Trisha Mills. The town that this is set in is actually book themed, and Trisha and her sister Angelica are on the Chamber of Commerce. They're like lead members of the Chamber of Commerce, and the recent dispute that's come up in the town is that a lot of non-book related stores are moving in, which some think is like diluting the theme and like tourist attraction value of their town. So there's a lot of disgruntled like bookstore, bookish themed store owners. However, the new business owners, of course, are not upset. So there's a lot of controversy and people fighting, and unfortunately one of the most disgruntled and like most like lead vocal people who is against these people moving into the town is actually found murdered, and he also recently hit up on Angelica, Trisha's sister, and she turned him down hard, and he ended up kind of like stalking her and just being very aggressive. So some people think that her sister might have a motive to actually have harmed this man, and others think that, you know, someone tried to get him out of the way because he was very vocal about the non-bookstore or bookish themed shops moving into the town. So there's a lot of different motive, and Trisha, although she knows the police chief, wants to make sure that her sister will not be blamed for this man's death. So that's kind of what this one is about. I have not personally read this series, but it sounds really interesting. I love the idea of like a book themed town. Like, how great is that? Like, I want to go visit a town like that. That would be super cool. And I love the cover on this. It's like a little bit darker looking than some cozies, but the illustration on it is just so beautiful. Okay, so coming out on the 28th, we have one for all you cat lovers out there. It's called Gone But Not Furgotten, a cat cafe mystery. It's by Cate, Conte, and it's book 6 within the series. So this book takes place on Daybreak Island, and the main character's name is Maggie, and she runs some kind of like, it's called the House of Purrs, which sounds like some kind of like cat sanctuary. And her friend who runs like a Tai Chi like membership studio mentions that one of the students, Laurel, is getting a lot of kickback from her neighbor for her cats. Like, she's getting in trouble with her neighbors for her cats, which are claimed like to be disruptive. So they go over there to investigate, make sure the cats are okay, make sure Laurel's okay. When they discover that the cats are, there's like a plethora of cats, there's like, there might be a hoarding situation going on, and they also find a dead body. So then they have to dig into this mystery, find out what happened to Laurel, take care of the cats, and it sounds like the main character Maddie solves the mysteries with her grandpa Leo, which I personally love that trope. I love when cozy mysteries have like a grandparent especially, but like a family member involved with the solving. I think that's always really fun, but especially grandparents. So this one sounds cute. I have not read it, but I wanted to throw it in there for all of you cat and animal lovers like myself. How cute is the cover? I want the cat. The cat is doing like yoga on the cover. It's beautiful. I love it. Our next one is called Death by Beach Read, a Lighthouse Library mystery series, and this is book 9 within the series, and this one will be coming out June 7th, and it is by Eva Gates, which again, I love this cover. Very summery, very appropriate for this time of year. This book series is set on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and our main character's name is Lucy, and her and I'm assuming it's her boyfriend or husband, it doesn't say, I'm not familiar with the series personally, but they're recently moving into a historical home, which I love this trope, and they're experiencing a lot of like hauntings and hearing a lot of strange sounds, but they sound a little too real. Like, it's not just the wind, they're thinking. Well, one day they actually come down and discover a dead body in their kitchen, which, how disturbing is that? So of course they report this, and they soon discover that this man who is found dead in their kitchen has some kind of like long-term connection to the house. And on top of all this, it sounds like Lucy will be planning their wedding, so it's actually her fiance she moved in with. And so there's all this stuff going on at the Lighthouse Library she works at. She's planning a wedding. They found a dead body in their house. I mean, that is a stressful combination right there. And as they continue to unravel clues and the history of the home, they find out that years ago the family that had lived there, the teenage daughter had left in the middle of the night, never to be seen again. So I'm hoping there'll be something about that and like the solving of that. I love it when mysteries connect like a historical mystery and it's like simultaneously solved to like a newer mystery. That's a favorite trope of mine. And on top of this reminds me of Jen McKinley's Library Lovers mystery series, which I'm a big fan of. It sounds like the Lighthouse library in this series also has a book club, and a lot of times they're reading like classics, and somehow the book they're reading kind of relates to the situations and stuff in the mystery, which again is something that I personally really like. So I have not read this series, but if you have, let me know, because it sounds really good. Like this one I'm definitely putting on my TBR, so let me know if you have read this one because it sounds super interesting. I love a bookish cozy. So coming out on June 28th, we have a book called Muddled Through, and it's by Barbara Ross. And this book is part of the Maine Clambake series, which is book 10 in the series. Such a bright cover. I feel like all the Barbara Ross books that I've seen recently just have really lovely, like, cozy, just warm. I love the covers. And so this mystery actually starts with vandalism. So it's mud season in Maine. So Julia spots a commotion and lots of police cars in front of a shop called Lupin Designs, and she rushes over there because her sister Livy is actually a potter there, and unfortunately her sister is unharmed, but she's surrounded by vandalism because all the pottery has been smashed within the shop. And so the police quickly locate the owner of the shop, Zoe, who is also unharmed but confused as to why anyone would vandalize her shop like that. However, Julia suspects that it could be because Zoe is very vocal about her support for like creating a mall in the area, and a lot of nearby shop owners are very against this, so she's wondering if potentially Zoe's shop was targeted as like a warning to stop supporting that cause, and that's kind of where the mystery unfolds. So I kind of like that it starts with like the vandalism. I think that's kind of an interesting start to it. It does mention in the summary that there's some kind of murder, but it doesn't really go into any more specifics about that, so that's kind of all I got to give you on that. But sounds really interesting. Let me know if you have read that series, or if you've read any of these series, because I'm always interested to see what you guys have to say about them. Okay, so coming out June 28th, we have a book called A Fatal Booking, a Booklover's B&B mystery, and this is book 3 within the series, which is written by Victoria Gilbert. This has like the funnest names. So the main character's name is Charlotte, and she runs a place called Chapters Bed and Breakfast, and it's like book themed, and they're having a book club, like Booklovers convention one weekend that's like fantasy and like children's book themed. So they're having a Mad Hatter tea party, which I want to be invited to, not this particular one, as you'll see why, but I want to be invited to a Mad Hatter tea party. How cool. But one of the guests is actually poisoned at the tea party, which sends Charlotte and her, it sounds like business partner Ellen, who used to be a former spy neighbor. Again, this is book 3 in the series. I have not read the first 2 books, but I'm very intrigued by the former spy neighbor part. So they're on a mission now to solve who did this. The woman who was poisoned is like a former busybody with a shop nearby who sold lots of like hot items and was potentially stealing like designs or products. So she's not the most well-liked person, but they want to clear their bed and breakfast name and also just find out what happened to this poor woman. And something I like about this is it sounds like maybe not like a fully like isolated closed mystery, but it sounds like every single guest who was there at the Mad Tea Party had a motive to kill this woman specifically. So it sounds like it will be one of the guests who was there, which I personally really like, when like, okay, you have like 6 people, it was one of them, nobody, like, I like that trope personally. So this sounds really interesting. Love the idea. Chapters Bed and Breakfast. I would I know all of you probably would too, but who would not want to go to a book themed like bed and breakfast? Like, that would be so fun. The Drowning Sea, a Maggie Darcy mystery series. This book will be published on June 21st. It's by Sarah Stewart Taylor, and it is book 3 within the series. So our main character's name is Maggie, and she's actually a former Long Island homicide detective. So again, kind of out of the cozy mystery, which usually has amateur sleuths, not always, but usually. So Maggie is helping her daughter this summer by helping her to prepare for a move to Ireland. And while she's there, she's, you know, on the coastline, and a body is actually washed up on shore, and it's discovered that the man who's washed up on shore was a missing construction worker who everyone just kind of assumed disappeared and went his own way back home. But it turns out that was not the case, and is actually a homicide. And so Maggie kind of starts to look into it, and she gets especially concerned when her daughter Lily actually starts dating one of the friends of the man who disappeared, because she suspects it was actually the murder was done by someone within his like friend group, because they might be, you know, maybe like a little more unsavory is what I'm getting from the summary here. And something interesting about it is some people are fighting to say that this man committed suicide by jumping off of a cliff, which is actually home to a place where an Irish painter used to live, and he similarly died. So there might be some kind of historical connection as well based on the summary, which sounds pretty interesting to me. I personally just loved the name Drowning Sea. I think that's a really interesting play on words, and I just wanted to throw this in because it sounded really appealing. Alright guys, and that wraps up our video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know down below in the comments what releases are you most excited for this coming month. Did I miss any that you're really excited for? And thank you guys for watching. I'm super excited for the Bakeshop mystery series in particular, and the Bayou Book Thief, but I have to say the library, what is it called? The Lighthouse Library Mystery Series is now, like, I want to check out that whole series because the premise for all that sounded very interesting. So let me know what your recommendations are, if you would recommend any of the series in this, what you're excited to read, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do post new videos on books, especially in the mystery genre, every single week, and I don't want you to miss out. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!